What's happening, dogs? Mr. Allen here with some application of rational functions with two of my favorite celebs, Snoop D-O double G and Martha Stewart. They are making candles. They got a company called Scents by Snoop. Now, if it takes Snoop 20 minutes to load a pallet, for shipping purposes, right? And Martha takes 30 minutes for said same pallet, how long would it take if they teamed up? Interesting. All right, now before I get to writing a full equation and solving stuff like that, let's just think about this for a sec, because that can help us set up other equations that might be a little bit different in the long run. Let's say this. If they loaded together, right, on this pallet for 10 minutes, let's just say they worked together for 10 minutes, what portion of the pallet would Snoop load up? Well, if Snoop worked for, say, we're saying for 10 minutes here, so Snoop loads it in 20 minutes, right? So Snoop would have, 10 minutes for 20 minutes. That'd be half the pallet, right? That would make sense. Yeah? He works for 10 minutes. It would take him 20 to do the full thing, so he'd have half of it done. What about Martha? Well, Martha, she works for 10 minutes. It takes her 30 to do the whole thing, so that would be a third of it, right? So she would load up a third of the pallet. Now, let's say if we added their work ethic together here, right? We'd have 1/2 plus 1/3. What's that going to equal? Is that going to be a full pallet? Well, I don't have common denominators here, so perhaps I can get some common denominators. Well, that would be, let's see here. We don't even need to have an equal sign there yet. What if I multiply this by 3 over 3 and this by 2 over 2? So we're multiplying numerator and denominator by the same thing, right? 3 over 3 is multiplying by 1. This would give me 3 over 6, and this would give me 2 over 6. So now I have common denominators, which means I can add my numerators together, getting me 5 over 6. So not quite the full thing. Bummer. Now, we could guess and check and be like, well, what about in 11 minutes? What about in 12 minutes? Would they get it then? That seems like kind of a lot of work. But let's think about what we're questioning here. How long they're going to have to work for, which appears to be our numerator, right? It was 10 over 20 and 10 over 30, which simplified. So what if I write up an equation to represent this? They're going to work the same amount of time. We just don't know what that time is. We don't know how long they're going to work. So let's call that X, you can call it T. And our denominator for Snoop is going to be 20. And our denominator for Martha is going to be 30. And we want that to add up to one full pallet, right? A completed job. So we'll say that equals 1. And now we have basically what we did earlier, which was 1/2 plus 1/3, because we assumed 10 minutes. But now I can solve for that time. I don't have to guess and check my way through it. Okay? So let's do that. Let's solve this rational equation. We set up an equation here. That's exciting. Same kind of idea here. I need to have common denominators, right? Well, 20 and 30, what do those go to? Can I go to 60, right? I could still multiply this one by 3 over 3. This one by 2 over 2. And I want this one over here to be over 60 as well. So why don't we do 60 over 60 for this one? So my common denominator is 60, because both 20 and 30 can go to that. Cool? You could use bigger ones than that. I'm just going to go with the least common denominator. So now I have 3x over 60 plus 2x over 60 equals 60 over 60. Nice. That's beautiful. That's fantastic. And now that I have all common denominators, I have, it should be 5x over 60 equals 60 over 60. Question for you, any kind of a logical thought here. If the denominators are both the same on each side, couldn't I just set these two equal to each other at this point? Heck yeah, I can. So we're going to have 5x equals 60, divide by 5, and I get x equals 12. So we got 12 minutes if they were to team up and work together. Boom. That's beautiful. It's fantastic and wonderful. All right, there's a couple ways you can finish out solving this thing here. So your teacher might do it maybe slightly different. They could have gone with this left-hand side, getting the common denominator. So I'm going to do a little offshoot of this one in case your teacher does it a little differently. You're like, I don't recognize that solving method. It's okay. There's a couple different ways to solve these things. So 3x over 60 plus 2x over 60. We got to get that common denominator. So we had the 5x over 60. But you can set that equal to, you don't have to actually have to touch this right-hand side here. We can just say that it equals 1. We don't have to do anything with that one. But now when we solve this thing here, when we solve it, we're going to multiply by 60 on both sides. to get rid of my denominator, and now I have 5x equals 60. We get the same thing. Divide by 5, I get x equals 12. So either way, you get to the same end result, just a different way of solving it after you've done the initial setup here, okay? Quick refresher on the setup. The x was the amount of time that they are spending, which has to be the same here if they're going to work together. The 20 and the 30 is how long it took them to complete the job on their own. So this would be 20 minutes to have a completed job on his own, as Snoop, or 30 minutes for Martha to complete the job on her own. And the 1 over here represents a completed pallet filling, or the completed job in this particular case. 12 minutes, that's dope, that's awesome, fantastic, lovely, and that's all I got to say. See ya.